Symbiotic relationships are one of the most powerful things you can do for your career in software development. And I don't know if that's the best way to describe what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about like a mentor, mentee, junior and senior developer working together to both learn more situation, which is what I've stumbled into through a series of decisions I'll talk about. I guess there are other examples as well, like pair programming with people your age and making projects together. Some people would cite Patagonia nanopuffers and tech bros as a symbiotic relationship, but that's actually parasitic. These things just slowly work their way onto you, and there's nothing you can do to get them off. Oh my god! They somehow find you years before you even work at a startup and just kind of weasel their way into your wardrobe. It's insidious, these things. But yeah, what are the decisions? I made a bunch of videos, I guess, talking about this, but I left, well, just one really. I left my big tech job that was gonna offer me a very good salary for 20, like actually ridiculously good. And I went to work at a small startup with a guy who offered me advice on my board game. And at first I thought like, oh, all right, it's just a change of pace. But I cannot describe the night and day difference of the culture of this startup versus that big company. Like everything there was vibe coding, and I felt like a little intimidated there because I couldn't tell what was real and what was fake. So much Jira, so much bloat, so much imaginary nonsense. The CEO got up on stage and started spitting straight imaginary nonsense. Direct Supply guys, if you see me, yeah, sorry. I like a lot of you. The developers there are really cool, but a lot of the management is like, what's even going on? There's a lot of smart people there. There's a lot of like strange bureaucracy and nothingness there as well, though. I don't feel like I was learning very well at all, and it was an environment where they made me use Windows, and everyone is using cursor and whatever, and that's okay. I mean, there's multiple ways to skin a cat, but you know me. That Windows thing was honestly a pretty big inconvenience. Like, I got through it. I figured out like power tools set up and it was okay, but still compared to this, like this startup is just amazing. Everyone's using like Linux or Unix software, and this main mentor guy I've found is just incredible. Like he's not just a mentor in terms of teaching me how to program better, teaching me like all these software engineering practices, but he's also just like very well read. He reminds me like he's like a version of me from 10 years down the line. It's pretty incredible, like for my development, I think, to be interacting with a character like this. Like he's just thinks in very similar ways to me, but has like thought of a lot of things I haven't thought of yet. So that's pretty awesome. In terms of like, if you want specific examples of that, like just the night and day difference, like I was using like Vimium to click on links at my old job or something, and this guy was like, dude, come on, just can you click on the link? And it was like, dude, it's literally faster, but okay, whatever. And then this guy, like we were setting something up. We were setting up like a repo where we have to like rsync the code to the server, and he was like, oh yeah, I wrote my new like mentor type figure. I wrote this like auto command to sync when you buff right in NeoVim, but I was wondering if you could look at it and see if it's like the best practice. And I've started to realize, because a couple of other people have reached out to me, by making myself really, really good at Vim, which everyone, including me, kind of thought, oh, it's a cool but sort of useless hobby. That was one of the best moves I could have possibly made for career capital, because it gives me this huge symbiotic advantage. It's a kind of weird term, but I'm basically very, very desirable as a mentee and like someone to mentor for senior developers, because a lot of them have worked a long time at a startup or something, like carrying the weight of 10 developers, like literal 10xers compared to some of the people at other companies I've seen. And yeah, these guys like are great developers, and a lot of them learned Vim kind of 10 years ago and then had to switch to, not had to, they just switched to VS Code or other IDEs, and now they're like, a lot of them are looking at me as like, wow, this guy is very ambitious, wants to learn software engineering practices. I can teach him software engineering practices, and he's like knows Vim inside and out. Like they all, senior developers who mentor junior developers, do it not for like goodwill. Well, they do it for goodwill in one way, but I think they do it because they're lifelong learners, and they know that juniors bring a new perspective to things. They know that, like, I know about types, and I know about just, I have a different perspective than them. They know a lot more than me about best practices and stuff. But if you have a junior who's very eager and willing to learn, knows Vim inside and out, and can teach you the old Vim tricks you forgot, that's for a lot of these guys just like the perfect opportunity to bring me on board a startup, because I can help out a lot of their development team and they can help out me. It's like the perfect symbiotic relationship for both of us. And we just get like, I'm not making nearly as much money as I was, but I don't care. I just need the money to survive, you know? Like the amount of learning I'm getting off of this is unreal. Like this guy just gave me basically a masterclass in Kubernetes and Nginx, and like I knew kind of what those things were and what they did, but like I could just feel my understanding like quadruple in one sitting. And it's like free education, but like really, really good for software engineering. So if you're a junior watching this channel, I heard that advice a long time ago, like videos kind of like why I don't work for Fang, why I want to work for a small startup. And back then, back before I was in a startup and I had experienced a big thing, I was like, oh, I don't really get that. Like I want to work at a big company. I want the benefits. I want the big time software. You'll quickly see if you're watching a channel like this, you want to be at a startup. It's just there's so much incompetence in software engineering now, so many people that just don't really know what they're doing. I think the Fang companies are probably a bit better because they're so selective, but they're so big and so like slow to move things. That's not entirely true. I'm sure there's some very efficient squads over at Google and whatever, but for the most part, I think the bigger the company, the slower you move and the less responsibility and the less learning. And like the benefits they're nice, but they're kind of to placate the average person who doesn't really love their job. And if you love what you do and you love practicing programming, working at a company where you are making a lot of the calls and you're involved in the business decisions, like this company, like this startup, I'm just able to talk to the CEO, which is basically impossible at the other one. And they just like first couple days just threw me in a business call to discuss some pretty major decisions, which is just so awesome, you know. And it's just so much more like trusting and human, and this mentor guy has a very good policy of like you should have as sharp, he calls it like sharp knife, like you should have as much control as possible. If you're a good developer, you shouldn't be restricted by all these like Jira tickets and task management and secrets managers, and like obviously follow best practices. You know, all the technology I work on is very secure, but no unnecessary like permission least escalation for like a few people. If you're a good developer, you're just gonna get like caught up and slowed down by these things. It's actually worse overall. And I don't know, it's just so much more pragmatic and honest and open, and like I can tell these are actual real developers. And like stopping in the middle of showing me something to like ask about Vim tips and stuff, and like he was like, how are we gonna use the norm command here to format this like SQL thing to add you to our admin database? It's like, that's so awesome. So it's just like perfectly what I've been looking for, and I didn't realize it. If you're a junior, you should absolutely try to find some kind of mentor figure like this. And because I know they exist, and same thing for senior developers, like find an ambitious youngster you can take under your wing. And the best thing you can do for both parties there is be as like honest and open and not egotistical as possible. Like admit your faults to a fault. Just say, like, be so honest about what you know and what you don't know. No more like corporate smoke and mirrors pretending you know Vue.js random router library. Just like say, I don't know, but like these senior developers, like they're real developers, know that, and they're like, oh yeah, well obviously you just like read the docs a little bit, or maybe you'd use a little bit of AI if you need to here and there. It's just so much more honest, and that's the attitude I think you kind of need as a junior to be mentored effectively. You need to be able to just like set aside your entire ego and just listen to this other person's opinions and ideas, and just like they're right. They've done this far longer than you have, and don't try to cram your technology, or don't get an ego about any language or your abilities. Just like listen to them, because they have a lot of valuable insights to say. But also senior developers also don't be like super rigid, you know, don't do the same thing. I think just staying open-minded and being like very reasonable and communicative gets you so far. And even if your technical abilities aren't like incredible yet, as long as you have an attitude where you'll just learn anything and you'll try to do anything they ask you, no matter how daunting it seems, no matter how bad the feature is, put time into it, you research it, it's just so incredibly good for your learning and everything. And yeah, again, it's not just the software stuff. A lot of these senior developers, for juniors, for reference, because I know there's kind of a lot of people who watch me who are quite like me in terms of personality and like cynicism. A lot of us developers get pretty cynical and kind of, I don't know, it's easy to have kind of a jaded view of the world when you're a software developer, because everything just seems kind of like dumb and like it's, I don't know. I don't want to go down another ego rant, but anyone who's a software developer kind of knows the feeling I'm talking about. You feel a little bit superior, but at the same time, you know you're not superior. But it's like, I'm holding up so much infrastructure in the world, and a lot of people are just moving meaningless data around. Anyway, all of that to say, yeah, they can give you a lot of life advice towards opinions like that, because senior developers, I mean, and it depends on the person, but this one I know and a couple others I know just are like you, but 10 years down the road, you know, and they just experienced all these feelings about ego and all these things for so much longer than you have, and they know kind of how to resolve them, and they just know a lot of stuff about the world. And a lot of them can give you advice on all kinds of other hobbies as well. Both of the really senior developers I know are also incredibly good cooks. I guess it's like it makes sense, because it's like some kind of very specific thing, like programming, like specific combination of attributes and elements that all go together to make like a very specific recipe, you know, and there's a lot of knowledge and technical skill involved. And I guess it's also a great hobby, because it's like the average person in your life is not going to admire your super bespoke NeoVim or Emacs configuration, but they can admire whatever dish you cook for them. You know, that's something that a lot of people can connect to on. It makes me want to get into cooking, just because both of these guys, I respect them a lot. I can tell they're very smart individuals, and yeah, it's just awesome all around. It's great to interact with someone who's a lot like you, but just further on in life. I think you can give each other a lot of insights, because yeah, it really does go both ways as well. Like you can, because there's so many different ways to move through life and experience the world. Just because someone is 10 years older than you doesn't mean they've lived every experience you have and know all the same things you do. You can definitely offer them insights on things, and they all know that. The reason I think most of these guys got to such senior positions, and I'm hopefully not repeating myself here, is they were able to stay in like a learning mindset for so long, and stay open-minded for so long, and stay humble for so long, and not think I know everything, and not become like, I'm the best engineer here, I couldn't learn anything from anyone. They like stay super open-minded and are willing to work with people still to this day, and that's what makes you the best developer you possibly can be. So yeah, that was the best decision I've made in my life, I think. I mean, it's day like 4 of working at this company, so it might be kind of premature to call that, but it's just, the attitude is just so much better. It's like literally 10x the learning, and being at a company like this, I can tell I'll just thrive way more than I would have at a big tech company. Even though the salary would have been better, I would have been just sitting on my ass collecting it and probably miserable. Money really does not buy happiness, but fulfilling work does buy happiness. So yeah, that's about it. I'll catch you next time.